hear from Jen Rannells, who is our family ministry coordinator, and Jennifer Shaw, who is the director of our day school. Both of them have been in their positions for 2 years, and each program is unique in its focus and outreach. And we are so lucky here at First Presbyterian Church to have two such dedicated and qualified people leading our children and youth. So without further ado, I will turn the program over to them.
Hi guys, I'm Jen Rannells. I am the family ministry coordinator at First Presbyterian Church, and 2020 was rough, to say the very least, for the children's department at the church. It came with some challenges, but through the challenges, I personally have found some ways to do things a little differently that I think has really benefited the program. So we started the year, obviously COVID hit hard, and we were not able to do any of the programs that we had already set up for the year. So we ended up, after everything was shut down, I wanted to still have a way of connecting with the families. And one of the things that I started, that I love doing and still are continuing to do, are front porch deliveries. And those are basically bags that contain various items. I did some at Easter, which had some Easter items in it. Throughout the summer with craft activities, I did a scavenger hunt, where it's just a bag that I put on the front porch of people's houses. I ring the doorbell and then I back up 6 feet with a mask on and have a conversation with the parents if they're home and with the kids. It was a way for me to connect with the families, even though we could not be in the building and be with each other. It was really good. It was good to do that. One of my favorite stories was, and I don't see her on here, I don't think she'd mind me telling this, Heidi. I went to her house and it was a beautiful day outside, rang the doorbell, and her 4 boys came running out to the house. And you hear Heidi in the background say, "No, no, stop, stop." And we just had a conversation in the front yard. I had my mask on, the boys stood far enough away, and we just got to have a conversation and catch up with each other. And it was a hard time for everybody, but we were still able to connect on that level. So that is something I'm still continuing to do now. I have a bag going out next week of some activities that the families can do together for some family time around, since we're not doing Sunday school, they're going to be able to do that. So I love doing those. My kids are even involved with me on doing those. And my daughter rings the doorbell and runs like there's no tomorrow. So she thinks it's great to do that. Another thing that we did, we had some what we called courtyard conversations with our youth, and we started, we did a couple of them in the summer. The one that we had that I think was most impactful was we did it during the riots downtown, and we brought the youth together and just had a very real, open conversation with them about race. And Tony from the church came and talked about his experience of being African-American. I talked about my experience of raising 2 African-American kids. And it was just a very real, open conversation that the kids had, issues that they have in school. And we got into talking about, them being white and how that opened up a whole new conversation. So that was another good time where we could be together outside. That was one thing in the summer that we needed to do, was plan things outside for the kids. For the Sunday school kids, we had some activities where we did crafts under the portico on the west side of the building. And we just had the little ones come and we just made crafts for the day, and they had to take them home. And it was good to have the kids together so they could be with their friends, because we weren't doing Sunday school at the time and they were cooped up at home. A lot of them were not even in school at the time, so they weren't even getting that socialization there. So that was a good time that we could do. Putting 2020 behind us now and moving on to 2021, because I don't want to focus on, the negatives of COVID. 2021 is looking up. We have a lot of things that we are planning, and we are still doing the front porch deliveries, like I said, but we are going to do VBS this summer. So I'm excited about that one. We're going to take the VBS program we had set up for last summer, and we're going to do it this year. We're going to open it up to our friends over at Washington Elementary and to the community. So that's going to be exciting to do. And we are also, Annie talked about last week, we're going to do the MAD Camp, which is music, art, drama, and dance. We're going to have that. That's in full swing of planning. So we're going to have that. We also are starting youth group up again, which it just makes my heart very happy. I love having the kids in the building again. So we are meeting on the second and fourth Sunday of the month. Last time we went bowling, had a great time there. And this week, not sure how this is going to go, but I am turning the youth lounge into a big escape room. So we are giving the kids an hour to figure out all these puzzles and escape from the room. So I am working on that. So if you come into my office, it's going to be a hot mess right now. So that's what we're working on now. And then we also, I'm excited to say that Pastor Carrie is also joining us in youth group. So she's going to be there with us to just kind of help out and be there with the kids. So that's exciting that she's going to be there with us. We are not having Sunday school in the building yet. I'm not sure when we're going to, but until we do, in the narthex, we have the worship bags that we had before. And what I am doing is I've taken the curriculum that we're using, that we were going to use for Sunday school, and we are putting in the worship bulletins that we would use during Sunday school. So they're in the bags with a little fruit snack, and in the worship bulletin, it has, it's like an activity booklet based on the lesson that we would be learning in Sunday school at that time. So the kids are still getting the stuff that they can do, but it's just in the bags that they can take and do during the service. I know I'm forgetting something, I'm sorry. So, I think with going from COVID and the struggles we had in 2020 to 2021, I'm really taking this time to really reflect on the program, to see what worked in the past and what didn't work, and how we can really make the program what it needs to be for the kids. So I have kind of started this, whenever I plan an activity, I go back to what our purpose statement is, and I make sure that we're planning activities that are for a purpose for the church, and not just an activity to just plan an activity. So I'm very purposeful now in our activities that we're planning for the kids, and also for the families. How can an activity that we're doing now, how is that different from what they can get, let's say, at the community center? How are these activities different? So that's really where I'm going right now, and really going back to what our purpose statement is. Going forward, we have some other things planned, but I'm going to keep them a secret right now. But the big thing is VBS. So I would say that the biggest thing that I would ask for is for prayer. We have a lot of kids right now who are going through some really rough times. lack of socialization with friends. Some of them are still at home learning. Some of them are just now going back into schools. Some of them are having, struggles with everything. And I think it's really important that we start lifting up our kids and our families in our church. And it can just be as simple as when we're doing our daily prayers, we just pray for the kids in the church. We pray for our families. We have families who are, they're struggling. We have moms who are home now who weren't originally home before. We have, it's just a whole magnitude because of COVID. And I think it's really important that we pray, we surround these people as a church. And I think that's one thing that we can very easily do without leaving our house. A couple other ways that I would ask for help is if you want to volunteer. I could always use volunteers for VBS and for the MAD camp. And that doesn't mean you have to be a teacher, just because working with kids, that doesn't mean you have to be a teacher. I could always use, a snack helper, somebody setting up, somebody tearing down, somebody just walking kids from one area to another. There's a vast array of places that you can help with. So those are the big things I could use help with right now. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have. So Annie has a video that she's going to show, and the video you're going to see is highlights from 2020, and these are activities that we did, and I just put like a quick video together showing the stuff that we did during 2020.
Thank you, Jen. So I am going to share my screen. We practiced this, so this should work.
So there was a question about when Vacation Bible School would be. It's July.
It's the last full week of July.
Yes. So yeah, the last full week of July.
And Jen, the week of music, art, drama camp, what is that?
The second week in June, the week of the 7th, June 7th.
Great. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and play the video. We'll see you in a couple minutes. Thank you, Jen. That was great. We'll save questions for the end for Jen Reynolds after Jennifer Shaw presents about the day school. So Jennifer Shaw, you ready?
I am. All right. Well, thank you all for taking your time out to come to hear about children's ministries in many aspects of the church. I am going to start with a video, but before that, just you probably haven't looked at the mission statement of the day school, and you might not know this, but the last line says the day school actively demonstrates the church's commitment to children education and the community. So the day school really was created from the heart of the church to be an extension of the church. So with that in mind, I thought it would be important. Many of you probably have never been through the day school, or it might have been many years. So we're going to start with a tour.
Right. Let me open it up. Just give me a minute. Okay. All right. So, all right. Let me get my screen share going, and here we go.
The First Presbyterian Church Day School. I thought before we talk a little bit more about the day school, it would be a good idea to take a tour, since some of you may not have been in ever or for a while. So we're going to do a quick tour. I'm going to flip it around. I have my mask off just for this, and let's go take a look. So we are a fobbed entry, and once we enter, we are 2 levels. Our downstairs level, we currently have 5 classrooms, 4 of which are in use. So this is Miss Courtney's room. Miss Courtney is our 2s teacher. Miss Courtney. Hi. So this is Miss Courtney, your star. Very nice. So each of our teachers makes learning plans, weekly learning plans, and those are posted outside of the classroom door. Even our 1s teacher. So we're going to go down the hall. This is our parent station where they check in. We are on a food program, so we provide our menus on a monthly basis. So this is Miss Rachel's room normally. As you can see, we have a tile project going on in here right now. So Miss Rachel's kids have moved across the hall into a classroom we have not used since we reopened for COVID. So Miss Rachel's friends are in here right now. Hi, Miss Rachel. Hi. And as you can see, that's one of our toddler rooms. And then we have Miss Jordan. This is our younger 3s group. Oh, yes, doing what she does. We'll leave her to that. And then our other classroom downstairs is at the end of the hall, and this is Miss Alicia, and it's another one of our 1s rooms. So we'll kind of sneak a peek, but you can see even our 1-year-old teachers do create learning plans on a weekly basis. So we'll get in here. Hi, Miss Alicia. Hi. And we've got some gluing going on. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. And then the only other room downstairs is going to be at the end of the hall, and that is the old bookstore. And this is now the day school office. So you'll probably recognize all the bookshelves, and so this is now the day school office. All right, so next we're going to go upstairs. Now we're going to enter the 2nd floor. First room at the end is our kind of teacher lounge, if you will. Hi, this is Miss Melissa. We're going to teacher prep. So teacher lounge and sort of a curriculum prep area. And then here I'm showing you the ugly. This is our resource room, and it looked lovely. And then we cleaned teacher closets, and now we are busting at the seams and need some more storage. So we'll get another set to put down the middle here. But as you can see, we have a lot of supplies, which is great. So on this 2nd level, we currently have 3 classrooms. This is also the The music room is on the left, the choir room. So our first classroom up here is Miss Shayla, and we'll see them in a minute. They're out at the playground right now. So Miss Shayla is kind of our older threes, and then they've mainly turned 4 at this point in the year. Our other 2 classrooms, the first one is Miss Alexia, and she actually has, I'm gonna talk quietly because I can hear they're doing a lesson. Miss Alexia has an Anthus student with her through the end of the year doing a practicum. So these are our pre-K kids, and they will be going to kindergarten next year. So Miss Alexia is hiding over on the end. So that's our pre-K class. And then before we go in, I'll sort of explain this classroom. We're calling it Pre-K Plus, and this is Miss Lisa. And these are kids, because of COVID, their parents didn't feel comfortable sending them to kindergarten, so we created this class, kind of a one-time deal. So all of these kids technically could be in kindergarten. So we have a teacher in here that has her master's and in education, and she is doing some beginning reading and things like that, and really getting them ready for possibly going on to first grade. So this is Miss Lisa's room. So now we're gonna go outside. We do go downstairs to Fellowship Hall if the weather is not cooperative. But for the most part, we try to get outside for recess, even if there's snow. So I'll kind of rage over the top here. So this is Miss Shayla's class, and they are outside enjoying the playground. No tour of the day school would be complete without a tour of the kitchen. She's trying to hide, but Miss Beth is back there. And Miss Beth shops for, prepares, and cleans up after 50 kids a day. So thanks, Beth. You can probably tell that I made that last week because there was snow on the ground. So I hope that gives you kind of a basis of where we're at. I feel like I'm going to throw a lot of kind of bullet point things at you just to give you an overview. Big question of how many staff we have. We do have 19 of the church staff members, our day school, 20 including myself. We have 7 teachers that are full-time. We currently have a full-time cook. We have 2 assistants that are full-time. Susan Dorian still comes on Friday to teach music to everybody. She's there 2 hours on Fridays. And then we also have 8 very part-time floaters and closers. So we are a full house, and we are blessed with an amazing group of women and 1 man. So we'll get over the COVID talk first. Kind of like Jen, I think we're ready to. I mean, it's still here, but kind of move past that if we can. Big question. We were closed. We closed on March 16th. March 17th was our first close date, and we reopened on June 1st. So it was a total of 11 weeks closed. Thanks to, and we'll look at this in a minute, but thanks to grants, we were able to pay the day school staff during that time. And I will just pass on a thank you to all of you for that support, because they're all hourly employees and would not have been able to go 11 weeks without pay. So we were really blessed there. We did reopen on June 1st with some pretty tight restrictions in place. We were dropping off and picking up children at the day school door, so parents were not coming in. We were washing hands right away. Really a ton of extra sanitizing going on. I mean, you can think back to June 1st, there were a lot of unknowns still. So we were nervous and being very cautious. The biggest change, and we're just considering in summer kind of loosening up this, but we are keeping classrooms together so children aren't mixing. And the main reason for that is if we have to quarantine, it's a lot easier to shut down 1 or 2 rooms versus 7 or 8. We are, like I said, we're making baby steps to add things back in safely. The biggest change we added back in last week was our family style dining, which the teachers eat with the kids in the classroom. So for a while we couldn't family style because they share the scoops. But when we think about it, they're touching all the same toys, they're touching everything. So it really didn't make sense, the scoop, especially because they had just washed their hands before they sat down to eat. So we brought in family style. It's a big part of our program. Marge and Jai could attest to that. It's kind of a social thing. And unfortunately, a lot of kids don't do that now, sit down as a family at the table. So we want them to have that experience. And then a big thing is dress up clothes. We're bringing them back. So dress up clothes have been put away. They're coming back. The kids are going to go crazy. Also, we did some front porch drop-offs during, it was Easter. So we did bring Easter baskets to all of the kids. The teachers met me in the parking lot and everyone took a group. So it was really nice. We divvied it up and most people just had 6 or 7 houses. So that worked out great. The teachers came in, we did a reverse parade. We were in the parking lot and the parents drove through and we waved and we did a lot of videos, teachers reading books, teachers just telling what they were doing. But we were really happy to see them in person after 11 weeks. So the only other thing I really want to share COVID wise, when we get down to kind of some numbers, Annie is going to share the grants. So we would not have survived without grants, and we always have grants. So on this one, you can see, I'll share the Associated Churches is one that we almost always have 2 times a year. They did offer an emergency grant this year. So there were 3 Associated Churches. Prophet Sisters is one we always have. But then you can see at the whole bottom half is Early Learning Indiana, and that's state. So the state really came through for early childhood centers, and they in October they offered a grant up to $10,000. We used $8,800, really just to cover PPE, some social emotional pieces, because as Jen said, you think, oh, they don't feel the stress. I had a call tonight at 5:10, a FaceTime because a 5-year-old was having a panic attack at the center. So, I mean, it's just, you don't think it's affecting them, but it truly is. So we're really trying to get some social emotional pieces in, and that grant allowed us to do that. The bottom 6 are all paying back tuition that was lost. The first 2 were before the church had applied for I'm not sure what is that called, Annie? The grant that covered
The PPP grant.
the PPP. See, I'm
Yeah, the Paycheck Protection Program.
okay. And that kicked in and covered everybody. So that's why you don't see anything in May, the end of April and May, because we were covered under that grant. But then the June and July grants, those were coverages just due to children who had to quarantine at home because their parents were either quarantining or had COVID. So anytime a child was out, the parents did not have to pay, and the state reimbursed us within a week. It was amazing. We did have to close 1 week. I think it was a week and a little part, maybe 7 days. We did have a ones teacher that had COVID. So we did need to close our ones classrooms because they were obviously in contact with her. Parents did not pay, and the state reimbursed us that lost tuition. So grants really, the state really came through. I'm not sure what that's going to mean for my children down the road, but it helped us. The other piece, the last sort of screen share. We'll share the enrollment numbers. And that's really in relation to COVID. We obviously took a big hit opening June 1st. We would always have kids leaving summer anyway. So it looks a little more exaggerated than the situation really was. But the day right before we shut down for COVID, we had 58 children. Shortly after we reopened, I waited until things stabilized a little bit. We were at 34. So that's why when I had in the video that we had an extra classroom, that's why we actually combined classrooms. And I was a little nervous July 1st. I wasn't nervous about the center. I was nervous we weren't going to be able to support enough staff and I was going to have to let people go. But then things started turning around and I started getting phone calls. I think when school started, parents were making that decision, with the youngers, do I stay home? But we started getting in the fall many calls, and we, by the beginning of the year, since that other classroom is closed, we are full. I stopped accepting kids recently until June or August. So we are in a very good spot with enrollment. Some other little things, special events, unfortunately, like everywhere else, definitely took a hit. We really miss seeing our parents. There's definitely, I'm not going to lie, there's a disconnect that we're experiencing more now, almost than in fall. The feeling. So we're looking forward to getting some more time with the parents. We will be holding a graduation. We have a big group this year because we have 2 classes that will be going to kindergarten. So we have, I believe, 16 children who will be going through graduation in May. We did not have a Christmas program, but Tony helped. I was actually home with COVID. So Tony, thank you. I thought you were on here. Tony helped tape that, and we got a video out to the parents of the songs they would have sang. And we have continued some community relations. We would get together with Etzel House in the past, and we are kind of monthly, bi-monthly, really it's just by holiday. We did something for Valentine's Day, and we're sharing for St. Patrick's Day. Their director and I meet kind of in the parking lot in the middle. I hand her a stack, she hands me a stack, and the kids are calling it their pen pal. So our hope is that in summer we can have something outside where they can actually see the faces of these people they've received drawings and whatnot from. We are starting up field trips. Again, we actually tomorrow go on our first field trip. We'll be going back to Fox Island. These are kids that are together all day. They will be masked. Fox Island has shared with us their COVID plan, and we feel very comfortable. Unfortunately, I don't think they're gonna be outside tomorrow, but they will be all in just one space, and it feels very safe. So we're hoping we can expand upon field trips next fall. The other big piece is Johnny Appleseed. Marge, are you on here? Yeah, Johnny Appleseed is, as of now, planned and happening. So the cookie booth will be back. So as we're thinking about ways you can volunteer, we can always use cookie bakers. And even that weekend, even if you stop by for an hour, we can always use help selling cookies. So that's a really big fundraiser. We missed out on it last year, but luckily the state grants kind of saw us through. Okay, now we're getting away from COVID, and I'm going to give you just a quick what's going on in the day school. I know many of you, and there's a lot of retired teachers on here. So curriculum wise, we actually use a curriculum that's tied to the foundations. So we're using something called Learning Box. It comes with a manual. It comes with bags that tell the teachers day 8 and all their supplies are ready. Everything's photocopied, everything's cut. And the reason for this, we have fantastic teachers, but they're not necessarily trained in curriculum. So we're trying to support that and get the children ready for kindergarten as well. As far as the religious component, we pray before meals and snack. Pastor Carey does an amazing chapel with the kids. As I give parents tour, I say, this isn't like church. This is like loud church. So Carrie's always fun. She's dressed up. And she's really teaching the kids, that church can be fun and interesting. So we really appreciate Pastor Carrie's Thursdays. Within the classroom, the teachers, we have a new curriculum we're using. It's called Experience God. And again, it's a kind of a pre-made curriculum. It comes with a lot of different lessons. It comes with story cards and then scripture cards. So the children are hearing scripture on a daily basis. The other thing let's talk. We are participating in the children's ministries, VBS and MAD. And we are also hosting a summer camp for school agers in K-3. We can hold 12 since we'll be taking field trips. So it'll be a small group, but it will be nice to see. There's actually some church members who have signed their children up and past day school families. So hoping it's a good extension of the church. Marketing, Tony's on here. We have a Tony puts, you probably haven't seen them because we did make some kind of promos for the church. I think they were out on Facebook and Instagram, but I don't know. Tony's the guru, but somehow they were targeted at parents of young children. So I didn't see it. I don't fall in that category.
Yes,
But
they're both
Tony,
on. Sorry to interrupt. They're both on YouTube and Facebook. So if anybody wants to check them out, they can look there. And Instagram if you follow
on
us
the church
Instagram.
Facebook.
Yes, but I
Okay.
can also send out a link to everybody that's on here so that you can just see it without having to go on social media as well.
That'd be fun.
Sorry, I'm like blocked out. Sebastian is climbing on me, so I didn't think that was
Sure.
appropriate to.
So I told Tony, hey, I want these promos. And then my next sentence is that we're kind of full for fall. So it's amazing. I don't know. I think past directors who are on here can allude to this. Like, I don't know how it happens, but I had a nurse today who came and registered her child, and she went to First Pres when she was a child. I mean, we start in 1951. So there's a lot of history, and people just know the day school. And we really don't need to fully market. Like I said, I have a couple of spots left in my 3s room for next year, but otherwise we are full. So things are turning around. There is hope. Looking towards the future and where, I think the question was supposed to, what my vision is. I kind of give myself every year kind of a goal, and the goal this year really was based on curriculum, not only bringing it in, but getting the teachers comfortable. And I think I'm going to make that a 2-year goal. I think we're at the beginning of that, but I think we can do better. And I also, a piece of that is there are a lot of people in the community, different organizations that can come in and support us, and they have not been able to do that this year due to COVID. So I kind of want to extend that another year so we can get those trainers in, and we're just not ready to move on. So we are focused. We definitely want to keep our belief that we learn through play and socialization is key. But of course, we want these kids going into kindergarten, solid and feeling ready. We don't want them to get to kindergarten and be lost. So that is kind of the focus as far as how you can help the day school. I'm going to echo Jen. I just think prayer, like I said, the kids, it's really heartbreaking to see a 5-year-old having an anxiety attack. So we are not over the hump completely. So just keep praying for these kids and also for their families. They're struggling with decisions. They have a 1-year-old, and do I go back to work now? Not only is it safe, but just they have spent a lot of time with their kids, and as a mom, it's hard to break away. So there are a lot of struggles out there. So prayer is priority. The other thing is we have Teacher Appreciation Week, which is always recognized well in the schools. It's the first week of May 3rd to 7th. And I know last year there were notes written for Washington Elementary and different things like that. And I would just ask maybe if we could include day school teachers in Teacher Appreciation Week. I know they would love a handwritten note or a thank you of some type. A lunch is great, but like I said, even just the notes of appreciation, I can thank them all day, but it's different coming from somebody else. The only other thing I would say is donations. That's what we go through, so many baby wipes and paper towels and boxes of plastic spoons. So really, those are the things that put the budget over. You wouldn't think wipes are a budget breaker, but they are. So that I'm not sure that the state is going to have as much money for us. And we really don't have a need for it if we're all there. And, so we're kind of on our own, and we could use those donations. The only other note I have here, I wanted to answer a question that was asked before this even started. Someone had asked about paths to quality. If you've heard, and there was a sign out front before about our paths to quality level. Paths to quality is sort of an old rating system, sort of an improvement system the state put out for early childhood centers to really support and train and improve the centers. So there was that piece, but another piece is that it was for parents to help them find quality childcare. So if it was rated from a 1, they were leveled from a 1 to 4. So, if it's a 1, if you're between a 1 and a 3, maybe you'll be like, okay, we'll go with the 3. What has happened is it's all sort of been watered down because it's an older program. And really it became a check mark system for the state, just doing paperwork. And quite honestly, there are some level 4 centers here in town that I would not send my child to. Versus a level 1 with loving people, I might. So it really, when we asked our parents, are you here because we're on paths to quality? Our current parents, we only had a handful, and the ones that said yes were teachers. So we are not on paths to quality. We pulled out of the program January of 2020, and we're full. So we are doing okay. I don't think it was a program that was benefiting us long term. That is all. Man, I could go on and on, but I will stop there. And yeah, thank you all for listening. I know this.
So we don't have any questions in chat that haven't already been answered, so we can open it up to Q&A. You can turn your mics off. Or on, sorry.
I have a quick question, and that is Jen Reynolds, Washington Elementary, since you work with that task force, could you just give a quick update on what's going on with buddy packs and Washington Elementary?
Yes. So Washington Elementary right now, blessings in a backpack.
Her screen's freezing up on me. Is it freezing up on others?
Yeah, you're breaking up.
Okay, so Jen, we'll let you get your connection back. let's give her a minute. Anybody else have a question? Maybe for Jennifer Shaw?
Jennifer, you mentioned that you're in need of donations like wipes and stuff. Is there is there a system where you can get that in bulk rate at a lower price if we contribute cash versus us picking them up at the grocery store?
Absolutely. Michelle, if you, either myself or Michelle will gladly accept checks. And that's basically what I do. I end up just kind of looking through the ads each week and grabbing cases at a time.
Okay.
So absolutely, I'm happy to do the shopping.
Well, it's not so much that I'm concerned about people wanting to do the shopping, but if you can get a better rate. And
I generally get them at Walmart.
Okay.
Can't usually beat Walmart. Even through Amazon or anything, Walmart's usually the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question, Kathy. Jen, just out of curiosity, you said you're focusing on curriculum. How did you make your, and you've been able to find some that you must have felt really good about to use as a basis, and having that laid out to start and then be able to build on that, I can understand how it could be really important. What can you talk a little bit about what you were looking for? What made this one stand out over some others?
Absolutely. So there were really two key components as I looked at different curriculum. And the first was it for me, it had to be tied into the Indiana foundations, because the early learning foundations are what feed our kids into the kindergarten foundations. So it didn't make sense for us to stray from that, because we really do want them to have the basic foundation, so that when they go to kindergarten, it was just a continuation. So that was a must. It had to be tied into the foundations. And the other piece, quite honestly, was just ease. So as I said, we do have teachers that are not trained in lesson planning. So we needed, I think I threw one in, let me find it. We needed something that was a very easy and quick pretty well prepared, I'll put it that way. And so these books each gave them options. So within each day, there are, let's say, a dozen activities. So I just said, you always have to do the math, you always have to do the reading, but then you get teacher choice on what other two activities you do. So it really, I just wanted them to start getting comfortable with the concept of, all of the different, teaching reading and teaching math, and just seeing what that was like. I don't think it's I should have probably sent this in, but everyone does a learning plan. Oh, I shot on the video. So it really, they put what they're doing, and then our assistants actually prep for them all the materials. But yeah, those were the two things. Is it easy? Can the teachers use it? Because I didn't want them to not have buy-in and just be like, this is too hard. And then the foundations. And moving forward, we actually have a staff meeting later this month. And one of the topics is, are we sticking with this, or are you comfortable to go out on your own? This was just getting them used to planning. I would say an average day is about an hour and a half curriculum, and the rest is still just play, social, recess. So, it needs to be teacher led. If they're comfortable, we'll pull back and they can start doing some of the planning on their own. If not, we'll continue to purchase curriculum until they are.
Can I ask, how much time do you have for teachers to work together, or you to work with them and talking about what they're doing, and collaboration, I guess, among the staff?
Kathy, that's a really hard piece, and something I struggled with when I first came on, because when you're in an elementary school, or I was in a traditional preschool, you do have that collaboration time, because you have a common time that you don't have children. You might have kids 9 to 11:30, and then you have a break until 1. The setup of the day school, there's never a time that we don't have children, from 6:30 to 5:30. So I did incorporate a half-hour plan time a week for teachers in each age group. The ones teachers have a common plan time. The threes teachers have a common plan time. So they are getting together and discussing things. And then staff meetings are maybe every 6 to 8 weeks. And besides that, we have kind of a Friday note. So if there are any big questions that are answered, I can, send that out to all the staff. But it is definitely, that is a struggle, is us all being together doesn't happen very often.
Okay.
We
Thank you.
I should add, we're closed 1 week a year for shutdown, and that's what that is. It's we do our long range planning and then a little bit of short range planning. But that's it.
Thank you.
Jennifer, could you share a little bit just about like who are your families these days? Like, where do they live, or where do they work, or just anything like that?
Absolutely. So I believe I was looking at the food program recently, and Marge, I'm gonna steal a number from you. Back in 2015, Marge had 33% of the kids were basically would qualify for free lunch according to the state system. So there were kids on voucher programs and kids who lived downtown that needed assistance. We are at 3% right now. So the things have definitely changed. Our current families generally work downtown, or they pass us. We have one she just signed up. She's going to Parkview Randalia, so she passes us on the way to Parkview Randalia. So if they live downtown, we have a couple of people. What is the area called where Jeff and Ariane Lane lived? Southwood. We have a couple Southwood parks, but really we have professionals seems to be our clientele. That being said, the CC, we're on the voucher. We still are on a program where they can have vouchers, but I only have one family on it.
Thank you for sharing that. I do want to share that Jen Reynolds, just things went out for her. She says the joy of living in a more rural area. But she wanted me to remind all of you that she is collecting donations for the Easter egg hunt. So candy, all that good stuff, you can drop it off at the church. And she's taking those donations, hoping to fill, I think, 1,000 eggs. Yeah. So quite a few eggs for Easter Sunday, so she can use that. Any other questions or anything this evening that anybody has?
How are the Easter eggs going to be used? I mean, they're just at the church?
We're having an Easter egg hunt.
Yeah.
Between services on Easter.
Okay, so it'll be church kids then.
Yeah, or any visitor who's there. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Annie, since Jen can't talk about the Washington Elementary and the blessings in the backpack, do you want to say a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I can chime in, and I'm sure Nancy Brattmiller will also jump in next week, or I'll see if she can. She's presenting on missions. We are still supporting Blessings in a Backpack, even though we're not physically packing the bags. We are still sending our money to support it. So the kids at Washington Elementary School, all of them are continuing to receive a backpack of food for the weekend. That is still happening, hopefully in the fall. it'll go back to where we can pack the bags at church again. It seemed like we were just getting that off the ground when we had to stop doing that. And we've been, of course, somewhat limited by what we can actually do in the school because of the pandemic. But I know in the fall, we sent the Kona Ice truck, which is slushies. We sent that over to Washington Elementary, so all of the staff and the kids could get a slushie. There are just some great pictures that Jen got of that. And also she was able to serve as principal for the day back in the fall, which was exciting. So, hopefully as we emerge from the pandemic and the schools loosen up their restrictions as well, we'll be able to do more with them. And anything I didn't get to, Nancy can touch on next week during the missions presentation. Any other questions this evening? If not, I'll go ahead and close us in prayer. I don't see anybody speaking up or raising their hand. All right, let's go ahead and pray. Ever gracious and loving God, we thank you for the children of the church that we serve, for the members, for these day school families. We give you thanks for the joy and the laughter that they bring. At the same time, we lift up all of these families who have had a really rough year, and ask that you just surround them with your love and care, and just assure them that no matter what they're going through, you are there for them. I give you thanks for Jennifer Shaw and Jen Reynolds and the wonderful ministry that they do on behalf of the church. Thank you for their gifts and their skills and their dedication. Continue to be with them, continue to be with all of the teachers as they reach out with love and care and concern and share your good news with the world. And it's in your Son's name we pray. Amen. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this evening. Appreciate it. We'll see you next week. Same time, Nancy Bradmiller will join us and talk about all of the wonderful things we're doing in mission. And then Tony Belton will conclude the last week to talk about community engagement and marketing. So you won't want to miss the next two. Thanks so much for being here. Appreciate it. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.